Harry is he is the prodigal son, but the prodigal son did return to the fold, and let's all hope that happens one day. I hope it does happen, but at the moment, I mean, has he been married 7 years now? Is it?
Well, it's 7-year anniversary.
Yeah, so 7 years.
This week was their 7th. Do you remember that? You must remember. Where were you You were there in Windsor.
Oh, I was there. Hated the day. The day was a miserable day. I mean, it was a...
Really? I thought...
Well, was it? Well, I can tell you now, it was the worst royal engagement I ever did, a royal wedding I ever did, because Harry was determined to keep the newspapers away from it as much as possible. Everything was done on long lenses. I mean, I tell you, had an 800mm lens photographing the guests arriving, and the photographers they engaged for the job was 5 feet away. It was just hopeless. And then the carriage shot, when they went past me in the carriage, they looked the other way. So for me, it was a disaster. And
well, was that deliberate? You were made to feel unwelcome.
I felt so. I felt it wasn't just me; it was the whole of the British press. They were in many ways badly treated. I think it was Harry was angry with us, really, because some of the things that have been said about Meghan, and quite rightly, some of the things that were said about Meghan during the engagement were pretty harsh. I want to sort of mention them now, but some of them were pretty unfair as well. And so he was angry, and I felt, we were punished for that. And in fact, I never got one picture in the paper published from that day. And when I think, I've done some really lovely royal weddings. I did both King Charles's weddings. I did William's wedding. I did Andrew's wedding. I did Sophie and Edward. I mean, they were lovely occasions, but that today, I couldn't get out of Windsor quick enough, I promise you that
the worst royal wedding to cover.
Yeah, and then when the baby was born, when Archie was born, that was another, in my view, a disaster, because I knew we was not going to get a picture of it. Everybody was hoping we would get pictures of it. I mean, obviously, when William was born and Harry was born and George and Charlotte and Louis, we got great pictures outside the hospital. I remember, and William and Catherine especially, they made such an effort to show the whole world their new baby. But I mean, I say this, but Harry's baby Archie was almost teething before we found out it was born. I mean, it was. We were led to believe that she was gone into labour at 2:00 when the baby had been born many hours earlier. We were led to believe it was going to be a home birth, and it was at a hospital. There was that. The whole thing was just stage managed to suit them. And in fact, I never stayed in Windsor. There was a royal tour to Germany with the King and Queen, and I went with them, and couldn't get away from Windsor quick enough. And I remember showing Camilla in I think Munich, the first pictures of Archie that was taken by the Press Association. I remember showing her on my phone, and she sort of, and that was the first time she saw him. So it was difficult times. I have to say though, that first year of Meghan, that working with her on the road, I mean, we went all over the country. I mean, she was incredible. I mean, I thought she was. And I was saying this, I thought she was a great asset to the family. And I kept asking the palace if we could have a meeting with her. The royal people, the people who cover the royals, could have a meeting with Meghan, like we did with Catherine. And, so introduce ourselves and let her to know who was writing about her and photographing her. And I was assured it was going to happen, but it never did. And then pretty soon, she'd made her mind up that they were going, and that was it. But
do you get a sense that they made? If you're talking about the wedding, everyone was made to feel unwelcome.
Not everybody, just the
British
media.
press,
yeah,
just
British
the people
press,
that travel the whole world, and spend their whole life.
All my life, and then Oprah Winfrey had met them once. She was a guest. The Clooneys, the guests. I mean, never met them before, but they were the guests. And I thought to myself, this is all showbiz rubbish. You know,
Did you ever get a sense then that they wanted out, that they wanted a California life, that they wanted showbiz, that they weren't interested? If they weren't interested in making people feel welcome at the wedding, it just seems to me they made a decision back in 7 years ago. That they
I'm looking. I mean, Oprah Winfrey was there, and then the first big interview they did was with Oprah Winfrey, and you know, most of that interview was left on the cutting room floor because it was so one-sided and it was so unfair. And I think about watching it now, and you know, the bit about Archie and the colour of his skin. And I knew they'd be seething. I knew the Queen would be seething. I knew that the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, would be seething. It would be so unfair, because one thing they're not is racist. You know, they are not. I've been with a king all over Africa, all over South America. I've never seen only just engaging and enjoying the company of these people. So, you know, it would be no way that he would be like that. He's just and it was just an unfair thing to say. But it was, you know, I mean, she delivered it like an actress delivered it, and Oprah responded going, wow, you know, as though like. You know, it was awful, and then of course some of the Netflix stuff and the book. Oh God, you know, it was dreadful. But
so to confirm, Arthur, you didn't do anything to celebrate Harry and Meghan's 7th wedding anniversary?
I'll tell you what. No, I don't even. I'm surprised it lasted that long. No, many people said it wouldn't. But it has. I mean, they obviously, you know, they're probably happy together. They've got 2 lovely children. And it's one of the saddest things of all, Matt, of course, is that the children don't get to see their grandfather, either grandfather, you know, and that's really so awful, because they're not getting to meet their cousins and to know their cousins, and it's such a shame for them.
Yeah, it is. Happier times this week. Buckingham Palace garden parties, Chelsea flower show as well. Can you give us just a flavour? You've done lots of them. We talked about 50 years, your golden anniversary, but you've done a lot of these. Can you just give a flavour of what it's like? And many people haven't attended a Buckingham Palace garden party.
Yeah.
I mean, they're, you know, the highlight in the calendar for many people. If you get a ticket and you get to go there, but what is it like at a garden party or Chelsea flower show when you're with the King, the Queen, Prince and Princess of Wales, etc.?
Well, I've been to several garden parties with my wife, and they are amazing. I mean, first and foremost, everybody's beautifully dressed. I mean, the women must spend millions of pounds on clothes. They look lovely. And then, of course, the royals come out, and then there's a big lineup. And people think that lineup is exclusive, but it isn't. If you're a member, if you've been invited, you can join that lineup, and you get to meet the King and Queen, King or the Queen. One does either side. But the food is lovely. There's so much of it. The tea is absolutely. I mean, tea is my favourite drink. It's absolutely.
Yeah, I can testify for that. Tea is your favourite drink.
And it's really, and you can walk around the gardens and the lake, and it's the most beautiful afternoon, and you see so many people, you know, or they know you, and it's a really, and the 2 hours, it goes in a flash, you know, it goes so quickly.